everybody. This is part 2 in my series. I'm addressing questions posed by a series of videos, well-produced videos. If you have not seen part 1, please, I refer you to the more info bar. Please go to the first view first. Thank you very much.
The second question I ask is whether or not the Bible's claims are supported by evidence. This is also a very important question. I'm not going to go into too much detail about this, because it's been done better by other people before me. But the first thing you have to understand is that knowledge must be based on evidence. Thinking is not knowing. Believing is not knowing. Wanting to believe is definitely not knowing. You can only know something if you can back it up with demonstrable evidence. In my last video, I showed that the Bible was not infallible, or even particularly coherent.
Thinking is not knowing. How do you know anything if you don't think? Come on, get real. In my last video, if you've watched it, I demonstrate how the last part of this, about being inerrant, has been shown wrong.
But what about the rest of the things in the Bible? Does the evidence support them? Of course not. The earth is not flat, nor is it roughly 6,000 years old. There is no crystal firmament over it, nor any deep under it. The sun does not revolve around it, and there are no pillars holding it up. Snakes don't eat dirt. There was no flood that covered the whole earth. Hares don't chew cud. Snails do not melt. There are no such things as unicorns. There are no such things as dragons. And if you handle snakes and drink poison, you're going to die, even if you are a believer. Some of the things that Jesus himself supposedly said are not true. He was supposed to come back within the lifetimes of the people who saw him rise. Clearly that's not right. According to all the available evidence, most of the Bible isn't true.
This is an obvious misunderstanding of what the Bible is saying. Much of what is said here is also a misunderstanding of what the Bible is saying. Many of those things, such as unicorns and dragons, the dragons are mythological creatures, and it's known to be a mythological creature. It's talking about Satan. And as far as the unicorns, that's a mistranslation. Have you ever raised rabbits? I know scientifically they don't chew cud. Have you ever observed them? Sure looks like they do sometimes. Job 26:7. He stretcheth out the north over the empty place, and hangeth the earth upon nothing. When it's referred to, the pillars, it's in Job also. I believe he's not talking about what's holding the planet up. He's talking about the rock formations beneath our feet. Anyone been in an earthquake can understand that. As for the handling snakes and drinking poison, I have been to one of those churches which does that. Nobody died, and they're all quite healthy today. In fact, some of them I've been seen sick once in their life. And if anyone's ever put a snail out in the hot sun where it can't get to water, what does it do? Snakes, it's talking about worms. That's also a mistranslation. Christ also told his apostles that though you die for my name's sake, yet shall you also live. There is evidence all over the earth of flooding, almost everywhere you look. Ask any geologist. It says in Peter, one day unto God is as many days unto man, or years. This is an arbitrary date. Means nothing. As far as crystal spheres and such, that was the science of the day, was it not? Up until Galileo and Copernicus showed different. These men were only speaking of the knowledge they knew. As far as some of these other things, they too can be explained in this way. The book was wrote by men, so it was inspired word. It was wrote by men. God did not sit and give dictation. Would you consider personal experience demonstrative evidence? Or is that not good enough?
According to all the available evidence, most of the Bible isn't true, rendering it uninformative or misleading about pretty much everything in the natural world. And in case you're wondering if there is any empirical evidence for the existence of any kind of deity, there isn't. Which is why all religions, including Christianity, demand that you believe their claims through faith. Faith. Faith is believing something when you have no evidence that it's true. But if you don't need evidence, why not just believe in Thor, or Zeus, or the flying spaghetti monster? There's no evidence for them either. Having shown that, according to all available evidence, the Bible is wildly inaccurate about geography, history, biology, and, well, everything, how does the Bible fare as a moral guide? That much I'll discuss in my next video.
Hebrews 11:1. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. The evidence of things not seen. Ephesians 2:8. By grace ye are saved through faith, and that not of yourself. It is the gift of God. You have to believe in God before He's going to give you anything. John 1:5. And the light shineth in the darkness, and the darkness comprehend it not. Are you living in darkness? Do you not see the light?